Welcome back. Ballots are still being tabulated in some House districts, but the Wednesday morning quarterbacking for Republican losses has already begun. President Trump says that several Republicans who lost their re-election bids faltered because they did not become or embrace him.
You had some that decided to, let's stay away, let's stay away. They did very poorly. Carlos Curbelo, Mike Kaufman. Too bad, Mike. Barbara Comstock was another one. I mean, I think she could have won that race, but she didn't want to have any embrace. For that, I don't blame her. But she lost, substantially lost. Peter Roskam didn't want the embrace. Eric Paulson didn't want the embrace.
Wow. Unbelievable. You name names. I'm here at the big board with our explanation on why Democrats were able to net, at the moment, 28 seats in the House. I don't think it has to do with not embracing President Trump. But in the case of most of these races, you heard the president mention, it came down to rocking the suburbs. Joining me now on the big board is none other than MSNBC national political correspondent Steve Kornacki, who apparently hasn't gotten any sleep. I got an hour.
Yeah,
you got none, so I can't complain.
Montana was still uncalled.
I know.
So I'm not going to sleep if we don't have an answer from Montana.
By the way, he named names.
Yes.
President. Every time you think he can't go that low, he'll go.
Every White House has its list of members from the same party they don't really like, but they usually don't have the president go out and broadcast it like that.
And too bad, Mike. I mean, it's like,
just dripping with
discord. Anyway, but these districts rejected President Trump 2 years ago. 23 of the 30, higher education levels than the national average. 20 of the 30 pickups, higher median income. This is turf the Democrats should have had 2 years ago.
I mean, the minute that the 2016 election was called, you could circle most of these districts and say, unless Trump radically changes his style, these Republicans are in trouble in 2018.
And that's what happened. I mean, this is basically every suburb in America, from sea to shining sea, right? You can go from Virginia Beach. The California races aren't on here yet because they're not called, but we know we're going to be going.
A couple of those are going in.
A couple of those. You go to the middle of the country, suburb, Des Moines. We could even go to Oklahoma City. I mean, we're all going, oh, where did this come from? Except this actually fits the model in Oklahoma.
If you've got it doesn't even have to be a Clinton district, although a lot of these were won by Clinton. If you've got a big chunk of the district that's in a city or a metro area with a lot of college degrees, younger population, maybe a little bit of a more diverse population, that population was on fire over the last 2 years politically, and it showed up in these races.
No, I mean, look at this one, Colorado 6. This is Denver suburbs, Mike Kaufman. I mean, he almost lost by 10 points.
Yeah.
And he's an incumbent.
Yeah. And these were tracking, a lot of these were tracking Virginia 10-2. Comstock, it tracked almost exactly with the Clinton result from 2 years ago. Clinton ran away with the district. Comstock got buried.
This is a durable majority that the Democrats have built, just as in the same way the Republicans right now have a durable majority in the Senate, don't they?
No, and this is the thing. The question, I think, at the start of the Trump era was this shift in the suburbs, this massive shift. Is this going to last beyond 2016? This clearly is a long-term problem for Republicans.
Look at these pickups. How many accidents do you see in there? Every one of those big cycles, there's a quote-unquote accident. Maybe it's the Mark Sanford district, but I'm not so sure.
Remember the South Carolina primary in 2016? Now, Trump did take every congressional district. His weakest, though, by far, was South Carolina 1, down on the coast.
And why? Coast?
Yes.
Charleston?
Higher income. Yeah.
Higher income. Higher education.
More college degrees. I guess New York 22, right?
Yes, I was just going to say.
I think Trump won this. Actually, can we show it here? I mean, this shows it, right?
Yeah,
55-39. That was the Trump margin there. So that's probably
the Trumpiest district on the flip.
I think it is, yeah. And even that one, Tenney, she had her own issues in the district. That's probably the biggest surprise from that group to me.
And so I think it's one of these things that people realize that this Democratic majority is not going to be hard to reelect unless there is a collapse on the top of the Democratic ticket in 2020.
Yeah, and the big question that's emerging to me is a new Democratic strength in the suburbs here, and as long as Trump is there, it's self-reinforcing. The question to me is the ground that Republicans gave back in some of those rural blue-collar areas in the North, the Midwest yesterday, is that ground he can win back in 2020?
Well, look, sometimes you can look at the map and see, right? You could see it in Arizona why we see it as a swing state, right? Democrats can win. There's enough of those suburbs. If you just want to visualize it. But you look at Florida and you see why. There's strong suburban vote. and lots of rural vote.
Yeah, and I felt like I was having deja vu watching the Florida results come in last night because
You and me both,
those
brother.
early returns looked like the early returns for Clinton, and it pivoted in the same counties at the same time in the same way. The thing that didn't happen, though, is when that happened in 16, it portended something that swept across a lot of the country. It was pretty. I mean, I think Ohio and Florida are the two that really seem to dig in along closer to the 16 lines yesterday.
We have to close up shop, but I'll tell you about Ohio. Does it belong in the presidential battleground?
Yeah.
It's an interesting question.
I think probably not in 2020. That'd be my guess.
I'm with you, Steve Kornacki. Now you can get some sleep, will you?
We're a little more than
What
a
do you
year
wanna call?
a little more than a year till 2020. We got the
what do you wanna
countdown up
call?
there
All
already.
right,
You know?
all right, but you got to get some sleep. Steve, thanks very much. Great. Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this, it means you've checked out our channel, so thank you. Now do me a favor, subscribe by clicking on that button down there. Click on any of the videos to watch the latest interviews and highlights from MTP Daily and MSNBC. You can get more Meet the Press content every morning in the First Read newsletter. If you're tired of content that you don't know anything about where it came from, you don't have to have that problem with us. NBC News, MSNBC, MTP, and the Meet the Press mindset right here for you on YouTube. Subscribe now.